My parents gave me an inheritance, but I chose to throw it away.
Throwing all the money in the trash.
There is a trigger warning here for verbal abuse. 6 years ago, my father came to me and offered to buy me a house, advising that due to my situation then, I would never be able to afford one on my own. My now wife and I were creative university students renting in a poorly constructed mid-century cottage. By the way, this comes from user drytext4277, and I'm Dakota.
I'm Carly.
And we are here to give you good advice goofily, despite how many rashes we have. But we don't have all the answers. But we only know what we do. If you do something different, just let us know in the comments. Originally, the plan was to build a small dwelling on the family farm, but all parties thought that was a poor choice, so we chose a different path. My father advised that the house he proposed to buy would be my inheritance. He would put money into the deposit and buy it for me and my wife, and we would pay off the remaining mortgage, council rates, and associated bills. Further to this, we would need to buy out the remainder of the mortgage from him prior to his retirement. He was 50 at the time, and the planned retirement age was 60. We came to an agreement on what type of house we were looking for, with the belief that this would be the only house I would be able to own, and for what price he was happy to pay. My mother then added the caveat that in order for her to accept this arrangement, my wife and I would need to save $10,000 within 12 months for them to trust our ability to pay bills. I earned $24,000 and my wife less, and we had creeping rent prices to pay, not to mention the bills. Regardless, we got to July and had saved $4,000 when we found a small cottage that we thought was perfect. It was close to my wife's elderly parents, who were a large part of our lives and had a direct route to the city, and was $130,000 cheaper than what my father wanted to spend. It wasn't the prettiest, and Dad suspected some sheets in the roof might be asbestos. But he was happy to get a building inspector to verify this. Or I was happy to get it. My mother decided it was not in their interest to pursue the house, as we had yet to save the $10,000, and they would be unable to flip it if anything went wrong. In fairness, Dad had looked at 2 houses that fit into my wife's and I criteria, and both times they had fallen through. It was at this moment, when my mother refused compromise with what we were looking for, or trust that we were halfway to meeting our goal, that it really spelled out that they wanted something different to us. We looked at more market-friendly houses from then on, and Dad, believing us about our savings, got pre-approval and thus started a countdown. By September, one house had stayed on the market in the small village next to my parents' farm. It was an hour away from my wife's family and over an hour and a half from the city where we both worked. We had not given it any serious thought in the months prior, and neither of us wanted to live that far away from everything. There was a house opening one weekend, and Dad was pressuring us with the pre-approval end date. We agreed to go, but just a few days before, our car broke down, leaving us unable to travel out from the city to have a look at the house. I called my dad after going over the listing and advised that he had our permission to go ahead if he liked it. What followed was a torrent of verbal abuse over the phone, telling me he didn't need our permission to spend his money, along with horrific and personal insults that came out of nowhere. My father often flies off the handle when stressed and takes it out on those around him, but this was particularly bad. I was shocked, as it was completely the opposite of what he had been saying for the past year. Further to this, my wife and I had been subsisting on beans and whatever I could cook cheaply for the past 9 months to save enough to make my mother happy. I responded with anger and raged against him, ending the argument with a firm no to the house and any help he had to offer. That was the first time I turned him down. He bought the house that weekend, regardless. I promised my wife I would never get into an argument like that again. We spent our savings on things we desperately needed and had our real estate agent begging us to sign up for a long-term lease in an old cottage in a nice part of town. I had started to earn more, and both my wife and I felt a great release when turning down my father. We did not speak to them for weeks, but slowly, both parents began pressuring me to take up their offer, and I turned them down. Good for you.
Nice.
Yeah, now they're going to start sweating. They're like, wait.
Yeah, he's consistently turning us down.
Oh, wait, you're making more money now, and you're renting a place that you really like, and now we're going to have to flip this house that you told us you didn't want. Oh, Oh, so now we just bought a huge responsibility for ourselves.
I love, though, that after the first time that they said no, they're like, oh my God, we can do this. And then they just got to keep saying no and have that moment of, oh my God, we can do this.
Yeah. Are you sure you don't want to buy? You don't want this house? No, Dad, I don't. I don't want it. You can have it.
It's like, well, I don't want the house either. This house kind of sucks.
How do I? Maybe if I yell at him some more, he'll take the house. Then my 14-year-old brother called, saying he wanted more of a relationship with me and felt he would not have that if we continued to live in the city. Later, he would confess that my mother had directed him to say this, which is exactly what I expected. But I knew back then that my parents were threatening the relationship with my siblings over this matter. We moved into the house in November and shortly after became pregnant. We slowly changed the house to our tastes and took out a loan to renovate the lighting and for paint. And we also used half of the loan to buy a second car. In the next 5 years, I quadrupled my wage as I became a public servant, understanding it to be the most stable career path for my new family. Cost of living crisis grew, the vid came, and all the while I paid for every bill and rate increase they asked for. My mother called our place their rental, and despite getting married in the back garden and raising my son there, it failed to feel like home.
Yeah, probably because someone else is sitting there going, and don't forget this is our house.
Yeah.
Not yours.
And don't forget who made this possible.
Ugh.
As life became more expensive, my wife's and my wages spread more thinly. We were unable to save, and as such, I was living in a house I could not buy from my father. Last October, my mother asked us to pay a further bill on top of our usual load, the building insurance for the year, which came to $1,000. I had paid all bills on time and had never quibbled over the price up until this point. My engine had blown 2 months prior, and my replacement wiped $3,500 out of our back pocket. The bill was due in November, and I had locked all our bills in up to Christmas, so I was a bit put out. Still, I agreed to pay it, asked if it can be split into 4 payments, and my mother agreed. Christmas came, and I found out my sister owed them $5,000 in car repairs, and they were selling their last rental in the UK. They were stressed, and Mom wanted a family chat to basically say they could not afford to keep bailing out their 4 children. I agreed with the idea. And some further context, my father was building a $300,000 shed house on the farm for my younger brother, who would consistently turn the offer down. The caveat here was that my brother would pay off the mortgage on the family farm and then split it with our youngest sister when she was older, while Dad built a further shed house for himself and Mom in retirement. This would saddle my brother with more than $1 million in debt by the age of 30. What kind of deal is that?
Yeah, I'll build you a little shed out in the back, but you have to pay off the whole farm mortgage, and I'm going to build another house that I will live in. And then you have to split it with your sister.
It sounds like really the reality is that the parents can't afford home ownership, or I guess farm ownership.
Yeah.
And they're like, I know how to afford this. We'll just make our children pay for it.
Right. We'll just
and
move
we'll
out of the main house and live in a shed. That's probably a really nice house still.
Well, yeah, I'm assuming that it's just, they're saying shed, but it's just like
a house.
A whole other building.
That's what I'm picturing.
That's crazy. Before the family meeting could occur, my father belittled me over the split insurance bill. He couldn't understand how someone in their 30s didn't have $1,000 on hand. My son was in the next room, and I could see my father wanted an argument, so I attempted to leave twice. My father denied me the opportunity, as we had 6 years before, and we got into an argument, this time over the cost of living and differences in generations. It ended with him screaming at me that we had 6 months to leave our house.
I just can't believe this, Dad.
Yeah, this is, I don't know.
How dare you not want to go into debt at 30?
Dad landlord is not a great,
Worst landlord.
not a great vibe. Dad lord. We had paid over $100,000 into the mortgage and council rates, $2,000 on the lights, and more for the paint. I had landscaped the garden with rare native plants and was looking at building decks and renovating the shed into a studio. All of it was gone over $674. We had paid off part of the original bill along with the stability of my family. I called Mom to clarify if Dad was serious, and she advised that he was not. He was just angry. We waited 3 months to talk to them, for me to calm down, and finally I came to the conclusion to leave. My friends and other family members and my wife had all questioned our situation over the years, seeing it as basically just paying off my parents' mortgage. There was no written contract, and my mother had only recently stopped calling our house her rental. Still, I defended my father's words for those years, and because of this, I was left without a leg to stand on. And we have a little bit more story left here. But Carly,
Yeah.
would you leave this house?
I'm getting out of this place. I don't want to deal with this. The second that I turn 30, he's going to be like, give me $4,000.
If there's literally no written agreements, how are you
Right.
going to enforce any? Like, you're just banking on this person to just hand it to you when it's done. And I'm sure the goalposts will be moved again.
He
They'll go,
knows
oh, yeah,
that-
you've paid it, but now you have to pay rent every month, and it's still not yours. And once I pass away, I'll give it to you in my will.
That's what it feels like.
Like, I thought this was supposed to be so that we could have a house, not so that you could have a house that we live in, you know? Well, let's finish this story. I told my parents we were leaving, and they seemed surprised, then concerned, then happy. Our house had doubled in price, and they could start charging more for renters. Dad had often bemoaned he was not charging what he could rent with us, so I suppose it worked out perfectly for them. I've just exposed my small family to the crazy housing crisis that is dominating Australia at the moment. My elderly in-laws have taken us in, and we plan on saving as much as possible to afford a house in the next 2 years. With current prices the way they are, I'm unsure if we can keep up. So am I the a-hole for forsaking my inheritance and my family's stability? And that is the end of that story.
My wife is upset because I let our daughter watch a horror movie.
The horror. The horror.
I, 40s male, have 3 kids, all girls. We are going to my brother's wedding soon. My oldest is 12 and was upset that she is going as a guest while her sisters, 6 and 8, get to be flower girls, which she's never been. By the way, this comes from Desperate Dad 5763, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I'm Carly.
I'm Dakota.
I'm Keon.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we would do, so let us know what you would do in the comments. And OP says, we have been trying to find something nice for Leah to wear, but she has not been enjoying the dress shopping process. Someone suggested we do something fun afterward as a reward, like going out for lunch, taking a friend, or seeing a movie. Her friends are out of town, so I suggested we go shopping first and then see a movie. We got the dress and headed to the theater. Leah wanted to watch 28 Years Later. It is R-rated, and I was not really okay with her watching something like that. I suggested Superman, Lilo and Stitch, or taking a rain check and watching Fantastic Four, but she was set on 28 Years Later. I figured, why not? I watched R-rated movies when I was her age. The only person who would have an issue with it was her mom, and she was working, so we went. Well, my wife found out, and she is furious. She says it was irresponsible of me to let Leah watch that movie, and that we should have done something else. Her stance is that I should have guided us toward a more appropriate activity instead of just going along with Leah's choice. I don't agree. First, the movie was the incentive that got Leah to agree to dress shopping without a meltdown. Second, since she is too old to be a flower girl and already feels left out, I figured she deserved to do something more grown up. And she handled the movie fine. She actually loved it. But my wife thinks it was all a bribe and says I should not have done it. Honestly, if it was that big a deal, maybe she should have taken Leah shopping herself, but I'm rambling. Am I the a-hole for taking my daughter to 28 Years Later as a reward for cooperating with shopping for the wedding? I'm getting a lot of comments about whether it was okay to let her watch an R-rated movie without her mom's input. Here's my side of the story. My wife did try taking Leah dress shopping before, and it ended in a huge fight. Leah did not like the clothes her mom picked and did not want to go to the wedding at all. A friend suggested using a reward to make the whole process smoother, hence the movie. The deal was, if we could find an outfit Leah could wear without complaint, we would go to the movies, her choice. I honestly thought she would pick How to Train Your Dragon or Superman. I did not expect 28 years later. Some people said I should have taken her home when she would not choose a different movie. I think that would have been counterproductive. What kind of message would that send? We picked out a dress you do not like and will probably donate after the wedding, and now since you won't pick a different movie, we're going home? That would have made everything worse. Besides, I watched worse when I was a kid. We do not normally watch horror. I love them, but my wife is a lot stricter with what the kids see. Most of what we watch is The House of Mouse, House of Shrek, or family films. As for the movie itself, Leah genuinely enjoyed it. On the way home, we had a great talk. She had never seen 28 Days Later, so I filled her in on the background. The only part she found upsetting was the storyline involving the mom, but that is likely tied to her recently losing a classmate. We talked about how that part must have felt for the kid in the movie. He is her age, and what it must have been like for both the character and the actor. She has not had any nightmares, but I am planning to check in with her again to make sure she is still feeling okay. And we have an update 19 days later, not 28.
The real problem in this story is that,
discussion.
that he didn't discuss this with his wife.
The
And
problem's not
that
that
it doesn't seem
12-year-old
like he
handle
can.
it.
No, yeah, 100%.
Like, you should be able to be like, no, we're not doing that. And then even if they're like, you need to be like, it's still not happening.
You just don't
You
present
know?
the R-rated movie option up front. Just be like, hey, look at all of
Well, I
these
mean,
movies
there's
that you could
posters, you know. She sees a poster, she goes, I want to see that one.
And you
And then
go,
it's like,
oh, that
well,
one's
no,
actually
we're
that
not
one's,
seeing
that
that
one's
one.
not out yet. Or yeah, we're just not.
Well, she's
seeing
not
it.
5. She can
You
tell
don't know
what
what the
dates are,
poster
I'm sure.
says. If the poster's just up, it might not have a date.
They always had the date at the bottom.
Not always.
We live like right next to the Sony Pictures, and they had like the
It's
giant
right
poster up,
there. You're like,
and it had
"Oh."
the date like right on the bottom.
Okay, and that's at
Of,
Sony Pictures in LA. They might not live there.
No, I'm just saying that the poster. Anyway, it doesn't matter. You just need to be able to, first of all, discuss with your wife and tell your kid no, regardless of if they have, because you're just teaching your kid that if they like have a meltdown, they get whatever they want. That's not good at all. It's not good,
Yeah.
and it's just not how life works.
I feel like he just wanted to see it, so he didn't even argue it at all. Update 19 days later. I had a lot of comments reassuring me that I did not do anything wrong. That felt like a relief. I am an 80s kid, and I had watched movies like Alien, Terminator, Child's Play, Friday the 13th by the time I was Leah's age. Good to know others got to share those experiences, because sometimes it feels like she does not get to experience that freedom I got to enjoy growing up. My wife was pissed about the movie. She grew up in a more conservative household and did not watch her first R-rated movies until she was in her 20s. Her concern was that Leah had never seen a movie like 28 Years Later and pointed out how scary the trailer and advertisements were. She was afraid she would get nightmares, which did not happen. Could we not have done something else instead? That is when I asked her what her game plan was when she and Leah were trying to find a dress. My wife was dumbfounded and admitted that she thought about going to a lunch, but it did not happen. I asked her if she noticed how upset Leah was at dress shopping, because on the drive home, Leah told me that while she hated shopping, she had fun at the movie. That was when she spilled that she was upset at being left out of the wedding, how she did not want to be a guest when her sisters and cousins get to be flower girls or ushers or the ring bearer. She did not like how she looks in dresses and was afraid of what everyone was going to say about her, but she hated the suit she tried on more. She thought it felt like a chore and asked if it was too late not to go. She told me that once her mom said it was not about her. As much as she hated that we watched 28 Years Later, my wife admitted that she screwed up on the dress part, that we should have done more of an effort to make this wedding experience better for her. My wife apologized and said I did good. The wedding itself was a dumpster fire, but that's a story for another time. My wife did make it up to Leah by letting an older cousin take her out to get her hair and nails done the morning of the wedding. One good thing that came out of this, Leah loved the movie date and has been asking when we can do it again. I returned the dress. She did say she hated it and will not wear it again. And I'm going to use the money to take her to watch Weapons when it comes out.
Like I said, this was a gateway thing. This is like, let's see how much she likes it. She loves it. All right, to the next.
He
That
just
one,
wanted to
that
watch
one
movies.
specifically feels like it would be extra scary for a 12-year-old. Like, I watched that movie and I'm like, this movie's not scary at all. It's just interesting. But that's because I'm not 12. Like, it literally centers around like a 4th grade class that all disappear. Like,
No spoilers.
that's the whole plot of the movie. That's the basic premise of the movie. They all disappear.
Well, I guess now is when she gets scarred then.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Again, he's gauging how he can get his daughter to love horror, and he's seeing how much it can scar her, and that's the thing. But I think you need to ask your wife, like, what's cool.
Sounds like the wife's down now.
Yeah.
We have also been watching more movies at home together when her sisters are in bed, of course. Update 2, is it normal to have kids at the rehearsal dinner? My brother is getting married this weekend. There is a rehearsal dinner on Friday night. He and his wife-to-be made it clear that it was a bridal party only. My wife and I took it to mean adults only. However, my brother is now telling me that it includes the kids in the party, aka my 2 younger daughters and a nephew, and that his wife cannot wait to see them at the dinner. We have another kid who's not in the party. We already made plans for an older cousin to take them to get pizza and watch Fantastic Four. I need some input. Is it normal to have kids at the rehearsal dinner? I cannot find any other info online. Otherwise, I am just going to tell my brother that the kids already have plans. Edit, to be clear, the plan is for our younger kids to go to the rehearsal itself, then have the cousin come pick them up for the movie. The other reason why we thought the dinner would be adults only is because it is going to be at a steakhouse that does not offer a lot for kids. Lastly, why is my oldest not in the bridal party? My brother said that she is too old. She is not the only one, as she has some older cousins who did not make the cut either. She's hanging out with them on the day of the rehearsal. Edit 2. I just got off the phone. I asked my brother what he meant by bridal party only and kids in the party. He said that the rehearsal dinner was for everyone who went to the rehearsal and their parents. I asked if my oldest could come, even though she is a guest. He said no, because his wife's family is paying for it. The restaurant is really pricey, and they want to keep it to people who are actually in the wedding. My wife apparently got a pass because of our 2 youngest. What a crock of crap. I told my brother that, sorry, the kids already have plans for Friday night, but my wife and I will be there. Okay, update 3.
Yeah, how are you going to exclude an actual? You're like, yeah, no, I don't know. It's a really pricey restaurant. We can't afford like a child-size portion.
Yeah.
You know,
A kid's meal, you would say.
you're going to have to exclude your child.
No, child-size portion, Keon, come on.
She just hasn't earned it, nor does she deserve to be with her family for a meal. Weird energy.
Update 3. The wedding coordinator screamed at an usher, leading us to walk out. This happened at my brother's wedding last week. There were 4 ushers, 2 of whom are our nephews, and 2 were related to the bride. I do not remember how they are related. This is a wedding of 250 plus people. And the bride's ushers disappeared, leaving Jackson and Newt, who are 17 and 14, to hold down the fort. Something important to note is that we think Newt is on the spectrum. He gets easily overstimulated. Having to deal with hundreds of guests left him feeling overwhelmed. My daughter Leah is close to Newt, and he asked her to help while he went to calm down. I am in this room getting ready with my brother and the other groomsmen when someone comes to get me because the wedding coordinator is screaming at my 12-year-old. I run out to the front and I see this Abby Lee Miller looking psycho yelling at my daughter, screaming at my nephew, and Newt is freaking out while Leah is trying to calm him down. My sister Melissa is alerted and she comes out yelling at the coordinator to stop it. It became a whole thing where everyone was shouting and screaming at each other like it was in episodes of Real Housewives of Fort Myers. I feel so bad for Leah, though. It was like they finally kind of got her excited about this wedding. Like, got her hair done that morning, got her nails done that morning with her cousin. Like, is seeing horror movies for the first time. Gets screamed at immediately before the wedding starts.
That's, why are you screaming at children, you know?
Poor 12-year-old can't cut a break.
Come on now.
But you guys can always come on down to listen to full episodes with stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, search up OK Storytime. Any final comments?
We've covered a lot of ground in this story.
Indeed, we have.
I think you all should just go see another R-rated movie together.
Introduce the two young ones.
Yes, just get them all watching R-rated movies. Have them watch Alien, you know? That one, you can just be scared for the rest of your life. Oof.
That seems like Dakota's own personal scarring.
Oh, well, I don't know. I'm trying to think. Like, I used to just get scared from like trailers but I feel like back when I was a kid, like the trailers were way worse.
Oh yeah,
That was
For
my
scary
other
had
movies.
jump scares. They had jump scares.
Yeah.
And
They
then,
still have
what?
jump scares in the trailer.
No, the ones back in the day.
I
they
think
were like,
the one that really got. I think there was a trailer for The Unborn that I saw, and I just like I never got over
the
that.
worst time is when it came on at a night. That's the worst. During the day, it's like, it's fine.
I am assuming, though, too, that because there would have been trailers before 28 years later, if she really was that scared, he probably would have figured it out during those trailers.
Yeah, I suppose so.
At least to the extent of, like, I don't know, like even the tiny things. Like if she was
Yeah.
going to be, like, really traumatized, you'd probably figure that one out.
Yeah, I think for me, it's always the bigger overarching ideas that freak me out.
When it is over, the coordinator stormed off. Newt is freaking out, and Leah, Jackson, and Melissa are furious. Melissa decided then and there to take the boys home. Leah wants to go too, which me and her mom gave her the okay. Several of their cousins also decided to walk out. We ended up leaving immediately after the ceremony. The bride was furious that half of the attendees, mostly on the groom's side, ended up not coming to the reception. As for the two other ushers, right now the bride and groom are in trouble with the venue because the ushers were found smoking on the grounds. We live in Florida, and what they were smoking is not legal recreationally. That is the end of that story.
My brother stole my mother's inheritance, but I'm the one who took the blame.
Ooh, you took the fall for that? Sorry.
I read it. I, 26 male, recently found out my older brother, 29 male, stole money out of a safe at my parents' house that was filled with money my mother inherited from my late grandfather. Let me try to set the scene. By the way, this comes from user NormalStills747, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I'm Dakota.
I'm Keon.
And we're here to give you a little good advice, goofily, because we don't have all the answers. So if you would do something different than what we would do, let us know in the comments. My parents have pretty much always been struggling financially, but always made sure that me and my two brothers had everything we needed. At my grandfather's Metallica bed, he told my mother about the inheritance money and that he wanted her to buy a house with the money he left her. My grandfather was not wealthy by any means, but he wanted to help my mother. For legal reasons, I cannot really explain how she got the money in cash in a safe at our house. The only people who knew about this were me, my parents, my brothers, and 3 older family members from my dad's side. My brother has a gambling problem and has for quite some time, but he kept quitting and keeping all of his debt a secret. In September 2024, my parents' anniversary, my parents were about to leave for the holiday. My mother wanted to take some money out of the safe just in case of an emergency. When she checked the safe, she saw that $42K out of the $45K was gone, leaving her only with $3,000, the exact amount my parents had to pay in taxes in 2 months. My mother, 52 female, was hysterical. She kept screaming and blaming everyone. The fact that only $3,000 was left was a big indicator that it had to be someone who was home often, which meant me, my father, 51 male, or one of my brothers. I was unable to calm her down for the first time in my life. I looked into the eyes of my brothers, and even though I sensed some doubt looking at my older brother, I classified it as shock and swept it under the rug. I knew this altercation had the possibility of breaking my family apart, so I promised both my brothers that I would never suspect them in the hope that we could keep our family dynamic intact. My parents were really unpredictable at this time, so I needed at least some insurance. I swore to my parents that I did not do it. I did not do this. I'm in my final year of law school and work every weekend and holidays to pay for everything myself since my parents can't afford it. If I had that kind of money on the side, I wouldn't be overworking myself anyway, but that was not a good enough excuse because I kept being a suspect. My father had a really weird way of going about this whole thing. The first 2 weeks, he was really calm and assumed the money was stolen by someone outside of our household. However, after those 2 weeks, he snapped. I was basically living in the same house as a tyrant. No more talking at dinner. He did not want to drive me to the train station, and many other things. I stay in a student home near my university during the week and go back on weekends to see my family and also for my student job, which is in my hometown. He thought going about it this way would cause guilt in the one who actually did it, but obviously nothing came to light. After staying at home for over a week, I had enough and simply packed my suitcase and texted my older brother to ask if he could drive me to the train station. He recently moved into his house with his girlfriend, so he lives about 15 minutes away. I talked to him about everything that happened and that I would not be coming back if my parents wouldn't get their act together. He went back home to my parents and told them he thought I was acting very suspicious and that I was probably the one who did it, which he obviously did not tell me. That week, I received multiple messages from both of my parents, but my dad's messages stung the most. They were along the lines of, "I know guilt is eating you up alive on the inside. Just admit it so we can move on from this." I denied the accusations and told him I was not coming home until he calmed down. Fast forward 2 weeks later, I'm back at home and everyone's sitting at the dinner table. We start talking about that stolen money. I was so fed up with it that I took the initiative and told them about how this is ruining our family dynamic and that we should be putting this to rest for now. Otherwise, we're all going to suffer. My older brother dared to say the following. I have to be honest. I do think that you're the most suspicious out of all of us. You're at your student home doing God knows what, and you have asked me for money before, one time $20, but okay. I didn't want to believe what I was hearing, but immediately countered with, "Well, you're the one that bought a house and is still renovating it and had a gambling problem in the past, so I would say you would be more likely to feel entitled to that kind of money." I managed to divert the conversation away from accusing each other and finally convinced my parents to calm down and wait it out. During the past year, family members who knew about it turned on me and started addressing me and my brothers as thieves. And my parents took the keys of my student home and went to look for the money while I was at my student job without my knowledge. This guy, the oldest brother, bought a freaking house and has a gambling problem.
He's like barely hiding it. Like it's a brand new house, shiny renovations, new things, and everyone's like, it can't be him.
Dude, I mean, honestly, it's probably gone. Mr. Gamblerooski over here probably was like, "Yeah, no, I put $42,000 on red and lost it immediately." My plan was to take all that money, double it immediately at the casino, and then bring it back, and then I lost it. I lost it day one, hour one. I lost all that money.
But they also went to OP's like student dorm, whatever, and they're like, it's just gonna be sitting there.
Yeah, it's just gonna be. I'm gonna open up the closet and it's gonna be like the
falls
Helga
out.
from Hey Arnold, like behind the clothes. You just have a stack of
Or
42K.
OP's just sleeping on the money. Like, oh, it's a money bed. Like, come on.
Money. Money. I gotta be clear about one thing. I've always had a great bond with my mother, the kind of bond where you can tell what the other is thinking without saying a word. So finding out about this and the fact that she was actually suspecting me was very hard news for me to bear. Every time I went home during the weekends, my mom started pleading for me to tell her I did it. And afterwards, she kept saying she did the same thing with my brothers. It was not a very nice vibe after a week of classes every single week. The tensions eased somewhat over the next couple of months, but my mom always kept talking to me about how she was still sleeping badly and couldn't visit my grandfather's grave because she felt guilty for losing the money. Cut to May 2025, last month. I was talking to Mom about job offers that I was getting and salaries included in these offers, and suddenly she's talking to me about how this month had been kind of rough since this was the second month in a row my older brother had asked for money. $1,000 a month, which is a lot. He has a steady job as an electrician, so I was very confused about why he'd be needing this amount of money from my parents. So how did I find out he did it? The same night, I remembered him giving me his Netflix login. I thought to myself, what are the odds he uses the same password for his email address? Pretty high, apparently. When I opened his regular mailbox, I saw emails from over 20 different gambling websites and confirmations for money transfers. The exact days my mom sent him money, for the exact amount she sent him. It was sad knowing he relapsed again, but this didn't prove anything related to the money. Then I remembered that he had a second mailbox for all his online trading stuff. And guess what? Same password again. I went back to the period where the money could have possibly been taken and found evidence that he did it. Emails from the bank asking him about $38,000 in cash that he had been putting on his account in less than 3 months. He told them it was a gift from family members for his home renovations, and the bank left him alone. It was about 3 a.m. when I found out, and I immediately went to my parents' room and woke up my mother. I told her everything, and she was relieved that she at least knew where the money went.
Did you get proof? That's the biggest thing. You can't be like, use my word. Did you bring the mail? Did you take photos? I know it's illegal to do that stuff, but at this point, for the sanity of everybody to like get the facts straight, because oh boy, not great.
Dude, I agree, Ronan Q. Ronan Q just goes, yo, this family's slow AF. It's like, yeah, no one wanted to suspect, maybe the older brother with the gambling problem who's trying to say that it's clearly like that it's the younger sibling who's just going to school.
I got to give it to him for trying. Again, it's just like, he's like, just admit it. You did it. Like, you're going to school. How dare you? I bought a brand new house, but that's my money. But you're going to school. Just admit you did it. Come on. I guarantee you for like half a second, Opie's like, did I do it?
The day after, we already told my father and younger brother and decided to confront him in the evening after dinner. I made sure to print out the evidence so we could use it during our confrontation with him. When we did, his face went pale. He didn't utter a single word for about an hour and simply kept his gaze fixated on his glass of water. He didn't even apologize or express any type of remorse. He had gambling debt of $14,000 and tried to use that money on online casinos to win this amount. He said he would have returned the money later. He didn't make a single cent and lost everything. So now he still has his debt of $14,000. The only thing he said to me was, "Thank you for finding out. I would have never been able to admit it." This admission left a nasty feeling in my stomach. I can assure you I did not do all that just to do him a favor. I left for my exam preparation shortly after and blocked him everywhere since I didn't want to see or hear from him for a while. But you can always hear from us by listening to full episodes with stories like this on your favorite podcast platform, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Just search OK Storytime.
Okay.
And you don't have to, there's no gambling there. There is always going to be more for you to listen to. There's like almost 3 months worth of stories. We're approaching the 3-month mark. Keon.
Dakota.
Wow, what do we do? What do we do with this brother?
We just call him a thiever.
I mean, how are we giving him any money, dude? How are we giving this guy a single cent?
This is where I look at my parents and go, are we blind?
It's kind of your fault. You've enabled this behavior for so long.
The fact that the mom, I think someone brought it up in the comments too. They're like, the mom was relieved. He's like, oh, thank goodness. We know where the money went. When all this time was like, it was in your face. This was so explicitly in your face. And you guys you didn't believe me.
Yeah, you know what?
You thought it was me. You went to my own dorm to check, scan it out when I wasn't even there to see if I had the money. This is like, I would just look at my parents and be like, I have no hope for you two. That's crazy.
Also, where are the consequences for this guy? Where are his consequences?
Oh, Dakota, you don't understand. The consequences, he's already $14K in debt.
Well, I think the biggest consequence should be you no longer have access to your bank account. All of your money goes through me first as your parent. We're setting this up unconditionally. You either have us running your bank accounts and giving you like a stipend from it, or like you're never getting a single dollar from us of support ever again because you're just gonna throw it away. You stole all that money. You could have just used half of it to, a little less than half of it to just pay off your debt.
Nah, he was chasing the dragon, bro.
You used all of the money to gamble, lost all of it, and still had $14,000 of debt. You cannot be trusted with money anymore. Let's finish this. During my exams, I kept in touch with my mom and found out she had been paying for his therapy, and she is driving him there herself every week. My family seems to have moved on. They went to the movies together, to restaurants, and the WhatsApp family group chat seems to be more lively than ever. I'm dreading going home. My older brother not only used me as a scapegoat to buy himself time, which were his exact words, but he also made my life miserable the past year, as I explained above. I told my parents I need time to think about the whole situation and that I don't want them to force me to forgive him. The fact that my parents haven't apologized for suspecting me and going to my student home to search everything also plays on my mind. Am I overreacting? And that's the end of the
No.
story. No!
I'm reacting for you. Again, that's ridiculous that they're not even owning up to it. They're like, see, this is a good lesson for both of you. Like, what? I did nothing. Your parents have a favorite.